Look at the world around you, and you will see a planet populated by waiters. Not the kind who serve you in a restaurant, but the kind who spend their entire lives waiting for the perfect time, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect feeling before they make a move. They are the victims of analysis paralysis. They believe that by gathering more information, they are making a better choice. They think that by weighing every possible outcome, they are being prudent. But they are wrong. They are not being prudent. They are being cowardly. The single most defining characteristic of the elite, the one trait that separates the titans of history from the nameless masses, is the habit of decisiveness. The man who moves the world is the man who makes decisions quickly and changes them slowly, if at all. The man who is moved by the world is the man who makes decisions slowly and changes them frequently. One is a master of his destiny, the other is a drifter in the currents of life. You are here because you have recognized the drifter within yourself. You have seen yourself hesitate at the very moment action was required. You have watched opportunities vanish while you were still thinking it over. You have felt the agonizing friction of indecision, that mental fog that drains your energy and kills your momentum. Today, we are going to perform a radical mental reorganization. We are going to destroy the habit of hesitation and install the engine of decisiveness. I am going to show you why a wrong decision made quickly is often superior to a right decision made too late. And I will give you the formula to develop the mental iron that allows you to command your reality with a single word. To understand why we hesitate, we must first look at the primitive architecture of the human brain. We are wired for survival, not for success. Your brain's primary directive is to keep you safe, and to the primitive mind, safe means staying exactly where you are. Anything new, any decision that leads to change is perceived as a potential threat. When you face a major decision, your amygdala, the brain's fear center, triggers a cascade of stress hormones. It creates a mental fog designed to slow you down. This is the law of biological inertia. The brain uses overthinking as a defense mechanism. It presents you with 1,000 what-ifs to keep you from crossing the threshold of action. The average man identifies with this fear. He thinks the voice of doubt is the voice of reason. He says, "I'm just being careful." But the elite man knows that this fear is a biological relic. He understands that hesitation is a leak in the soul. Every second you spend in indecision is a second where your power is evaporating. He has trained his nervous system to view speed as safety and stagnation as the true danger. He has closed the gap between thought and action until they are virtually the same thing. And yet, we must also address the silent killer of the modern mind, decision fatigue. Every human being is born with a finite amount of decision capital each day. Every time you make a choice what to eat, which email to answer, what route to take to work, you consume a portion of this capital. The drifter wastes his capital on trivialities. He agonizes over the menu. He debates for 20 minutes over which movie to watch. By the time he faces a kingdom-building decision, his mental battery is drained. He is decisively bankrupt. This is why he defaults to, "I'll think about it tomorrow." The decisive man, however, is a decision minimalist. He automates the trivial. He wears the same clothes, eats the same meals, and follows the same routines. He saves his high-voltage decision capital for the moves that move the needle. He understands that to be decisive in the big things, you must be instant in the small things. He clears the mental cache of his mind so that when a $1 million opportunity arrives, he has the full processing power of his brain to seize it. This level of velocity is necessary because the great lie of the modern world is that you need all the facts before you can move. This is the fallacy of information. In the realm of high-altitude success, you will never have all the facts. The world moves too fast for perfect data. If you wait until the light is green, you will be hit by the car behind you. Titans like Napoleon, Rockefeller, and Ford did not win because they had better information. They won because they had greater velocity. They understood the law of 70%. If you have 70% of the information, you make the decision. The remaining 30% will be figured out through the momentum of action. A decision is not a static point. It is a vibration. When you decide, you set a force in motion. That motion creates its own gravity. It draws the necessary people, resources, and insights toward you. But this gravity only exists if there is speed. A slow decision has no magnetic pull. It is a dead weight. You must realize that the best choice is the one you make right now, with the courage to see it through. Most of us struggle with this because we are the descendants of drifters. For generations, the masses have been trained to wait for orders. They were told to wait for the teacher to speak, wait for the boss to promote them, wait for the government to save them. This has created a poverty of will that is passed down through the bloodline. You have been programmed to believe that deciding is a heavy, dangerous burden. You view a decision as a trap that might lock you into failure. But the elite man views a decision as an extraction. He is extracting himself from the mud of mediocrity. He knows that the only trap is the waiting room. You must realize that indecision is itself a decision. When you refuse to choose, you are choosing to stay exactly where you are. You are choosing to let the world decide for you. You are choosing to be a victim of circumstance rather than a creator of destiny. You must break the ancestral chain of hesitation. You must develop the arrogance of the will that says, I will choose, and if I am wrong, I will choose again. But I will never, under any circumstances, stand still. This leads us to the law of the split second. There is a window of action for every opportunity. In the world of wealth and power, that window is often only open for a few seconds. This is the mathematics of intent. The moment an idea enters your mind, it has a vibe. It is hot. It is alive. But every second you spend evaluating it, the temperature drops. If you do not act on a high-level thought within the first 5 seconds of receiving it, your brain will kill the idea. It will find a reason why it won't work. It will bury the impulse under a layer of logic. This is why most great ideas end up in the graveyard. The decisive man has mastered the rule of instant command. When the impulse strikes, he moves. He sends the email, he makes the call, he signs the contract. He does not give his fear brain time to catch up. He knows that action is the only cure for anxiety. He understands that the universe rewards boldness and speed, not deliberation and caution. He understands the theology of the act. To decide is an act of creation. Until you decide, you are in a state of potentiality, which is a polite word for non-existence. You are a ghost. It is only through the definite decision that you collapse the possibilities of the universe into a physical reality. The universe itself is an action-oriented system. It does not respond to your thoughts, it responds to your movement. When you decide, you are essentially issuing an order to matter. You are telling the atoms of your life where to go. This is why the man who decides with certainty often finds that luck seems to follow him. It isn't luck. It is the physical world yielding to a superior psychological force. A man who cannot decide is a man who has no authority over his own atoms. But what about the risk of being wrong? This is where the psychology of the reversibility myth comes into play. One of the greatest fears that keeps you stuck is the fear that your decisions are permanent. You treat every choice as if it were a life sentence. This is the illusion of the final word. The truth is that 99% of decisions are reversible. If you start a business and it fails, you can start another. If you move to a new city and hate it, you can move back. But the time you lost by not deciding is the only thing that is truly permanent. Time is the only resource that cannot be recovered. The Titan understands the law of the pivot. He treats life as a series of experiments, not final exams. He makes a decision, watches the feedback, and adjusts. He is like a pilot constantly correcting the course of a plane. The plane is off course 99% of the time, but because the pilot is constantly making decisions, it reaches the destination. The man who refuses to take off until the course is perfect never leaves the runway. Think of the historical precedents of instant command. Consider the case of Julius Caesar at the Rubicon. He did not spend months polling his generals or analyzing the political climate of Rome. He understood that the window was closing. He said, "The die is cast," and he crossed. That single decisive act changed the course of Western civilization. Had he hesitated, he would have been executed as a traitor in the shadows. His greatness was not in his strategy, but in his refusal to wait. Consider Henry Ford. When he decided to build the V8 engine, his engineers told him it was impossible. He didn't ask for a second opinion. He didn't reevaluate. He decided it would be done, and he refused to entertain any other thought. His decisiveness acted as a psychological pressure cooker that forced the breakthrough to happen. He knew that the only thing making it impossible was his engineer's lack of decision. Decisiveness is not just about efficiency, it is about power. Certainty is the most attractive frequency in the human experience. When a man is decisive, he broadcasts a signal of authority that bypasses the rational minds of those around him. People are naturally terrified of the responsibility of choosing. They are looking for anyone to tell them what to do. When you walk into a room and make a decision with absolute certainty, you become a magnet for resources. Money flows to the man who is certain. Followers flock to the man who is certain. The world makes way for the man who knows where he is going. But the moment you hesitate, the moment you ask, "What do you guys think?" the magnetism vanishes. You have revealed a gap in your armor. You have admitted that you are not in command. Riches do not follow a committee. They follow a commander. You must develop the habit of the final word. You must become the person who ends the debate and starts the action. Consider the cost of the mental tab. Every undecided issue in your life is an open tab in your mental browser. It is a background process that is draining your battery. When you have 10 things you need to decide on, your brain is constantly processing those options, even when you are trying to sleep. This is cognitive leakage. The average man is mentally exhausted not because he works hard, but because he is carrying the weight of 100 unmade decisions. He is a mental hoarder. The decisive man has a policy of zero backlog. He makes the decision the moment it arrives on his desk. He says yes, or he says no, but he never says maybe. He understands that a no is 1,000,000 times more powerful than a maybe. A no closes the tab and saves the energy. A maybe is a slow poison. You must become a mental minimalist. You must clear your internal dashboard by deciding on every minor issue instantly, so that you have the full power of your mind available for the big moves. Success is often not about what you choose, but what you kill. The word decision shares the same root as incision and suicide. It literally means to kill off. The drifter wants to keep all his options open. He wants to have his cake and eat it too. He is afraid that by choosing path A, he is losing path B. But by trying to walk two paths, he ends up standing in the bushes. The Titan understands the law of sacrifice. He knows that greatness requires single-mindedness. He chooses his path, and he kills every other possibility. He burns the bridges. He destroys the life rafts. He makes his success inevitable by making retreat impossible. You must learn to fall in love with the cut. You must take pride in the options you have abandoned. You must realize that your greatness is defined by the things you have said no to. We must examine the mechanics of the split second, the moment of commitment. There is a specific click that happens in the mind of a decisive man. It is the moment where speculation ends and reality begins. The average man lives in a state of permanent speculation. He is always considering. The decisive man understands that speculation is the enemy of progress. He uses an internal stopwatch. If he cannot find a fatal flaw in an idea within 60 seconds, he commits. He knows that the flaws he discovers during the action will be easier to fix than the fear he develops during the hesitation. He has mastered the art of building the plane while flying it. To transform yourself from a drifter into a commander, you must follow a definitive system of mental conditioning. You must treat decisiveness as a muscle that must be trained through daily repetition. First, apply the 2-minute rule for minor matters. Most people waste their decision energy on trivialities. What should I eat? What should I wear? What color should the logo be? This is minority focus. Starting today, you have exactly 60 seconds to decide on any matter that involves less than $1,000 or a day of your time. Force yourself to choose. It doesn't matter if it's the wrong choice. What matters is the act of choosing. You are training your subconscious to view you as a decider. Second, adopt the one-night rule for major moves. For life-altering decisions, marriage, major investments, career shifts, you are allowed exactly one night. You gather 70% of the information, you sleep on it to let your subconscious process the data, and you make the decision the moment you wake up. No thinking it over for a week. No consulting 10 different people. The data will not change in a week, but your courage will. Third, use the burn the ships strategy. Once a decision is made, you must immediately take an irreversible action that commits you to the path. If you decide to start a business, buy the domain name and pay for the incorporation. If you decide to get fit, hire a coach and pay for 3 months in advance. You must create a physical fact that matches your mental decree. This prevents the post-decision panic from taking hold. Fourth, trust the logic of the gut. You must learn to trust your intuition. Intuition is not a mystical force. It is your subconscious mind processing millions of bits of data faster than your conscious mind can follow. When your gut gives you a signal, it is usually the correct one. The decisive man has learned to short-circuit the rational mind and listen to the instant wisdom of the body. If it feels right, it is right. Execute. Fifth, embrace failure transmutation. You must eliminate the fear of being wrong. You do this by realizing that failure is just data. If you make a quick decision and it results in a setback, you have gained valuable information faster than the man who is still thinking about it. You have failed forward. You must view every wrong decision as a tuition payment for your eventual empire. The only true failure is inaction. Finally, seek the mastermind mandate. You must surround yourself with people who make big moves quickly. You cannot develop the habit of decisiveness while surrounded by committee thinkers. You must borrow the vibration of speed from the elite. When you see a man make a $1 million decision in 5 minutes, your own mental speed limit is shattered forever. The discipline gap is always widest at the moment of choice. It is the split second where you either become a leader or a follower. Look at your life as it stands right now. Your current circumstances are the direct result of the decisions you were too afraid to make 3 years ago. Your bank account is a measurement of your speed of action. Your health is a measurement of your policy of non-negotiation. You have been waiting long enough. The world has nothing more to tell you. The signs are all there. The perfect moment is a ghost that will never arrive. The crown is not given to the smartest man, or the most talented man, or the man with the most information. The crown is given to the man who can stand in the center of the storm, look at the chaos, and say, "This is the way," and move without flinching. You are at a critical juncture. You have heard the laws, you have the tools, you understand the mechanics of the will. Now, you have a choice. You can click away from this and go back to your analysis, back to your planning, back to your drifting, or you can make the first instant decision of your new life. You can decide right now that average is no longer an option. You can decide that hesitation is a sin. You can decide that you are the commander of your soul. The universe is standing still, waiting for your signal. It is tired of your maybes. It is bored with your wishes. Stop being a passenger. Take the wheel. Make the cut. Kill the options.